Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Well, we've got the information for you right here. And Dave's going to tell you about it.
Absolutely, guys. We use this awesome application called Anchor FM. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free.
And who doesn't like free?
Yeah, free's huge. That's what got us involved with it. Second of all, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. So you don't need all those fancy gadgets. You can have them if you want them, but not absolutely necessary.
Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other platforms.
Which is great. More people can hear us.
Who doesn't want more people to hear us?
I mean, I like to be heard.
I like to talk.
Another great thing is you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like 0 people could listen to you and you could still possibly make some money.
That's amazing.
How does that even happen? It's everything you need right here to make a podcast in one place.
It's a one-stop shop and it's all you need. Anchor FM.
Yeah, so you guys, if you want to start this podcast, go to anchorfm.com to get started. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Apogee Fitness Podcast.
Wow, you added a word in there.
We did add a word today.
And why did we add the word?
Searches, bro.
Nice. Let's find this a little bit easier to find.
This older, wiser man recommended it.
Gotta pay him more.
My name is David Carter.
And I'm Kevin Harrington.
Dude, what's going on this week?
Not much, man. Just got back from Kentucky, going to see the horses.
Dude, you're fancy.
I'm not fancy.
You are. You had a hat and everything.
I did have a hat. You gotta have a hat. But I know exactly what I'm gonna wear next time if I go back.
What's that?
I'm just gonna wear shorts and a big old beach hat.
You should, man.
Don't take it serious.
Some jorts? Some
jorts, probably
jorts?
some jorts, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. What you doing this weekend?
I got a friend of mine's birthday this weekend. Actually, it's today.
Today?
Yeah.
So you're going to a birthday party right after this?
No, tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Going to a bachelor party this weekend.
Sounds fun. Where's it going to be?
Asheville.
Right. You're leaving right after this.
Literally leaving right after this podcast.
Oh, then we got to hurry up.
We do. All right. Let's do our little introduction here. So today, coming in from Spartanburg, Crash Fitness, we've got JR. What's up, dude?
How's it going, guys?
Good, man.
Good.
Thanks for coming over.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. So, you nervous?
Nah.
Good, man. Is this your first podcast?
It is.
What are we doing?
There it was.
We popped it.
We're
there we go.
It. All right, JR. So let's just get into it, man. Tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up. Where are you from? What kind of background did you have? Was sports a big part of your life?
Cool. So, grew up in Clemson, in the small town of Clemson, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Parents still live there. Both my sisters cheered at Clemson. My mom was a rally cat, of anyone that knows what that is, at Clemson. Yeah. My dad played basketball at Clemson. I did not go there. So I grew up there, and then when I was 18, went to Anderson University to play basketball there.
So when did your dad go to Clemson?
So he was born in 56. So 20 years. So he was there in the mid 70s.
Nice. My grandfather taught there.
Okay.
And my grandmother worked there.
So did your parents meet at Clemson and stay in Clemson after graduation, or were they from Clemson as well?
So my mom was a military brat. She was a Navy brat, so she lived everywhere. She lived in California, Virginia, Hawaii, settled in like Moncks Corner.
Okay.
Those of you that know, in Charleston area.
Yeah. Went
her whole high school there. Went to Clemson. My dad grew up in Williston, which is like near Barnwell, South Carolina.
Okay.
Those of you that are familiar with the Aiken area,
right
near there. And yeah, they met kind of through athletics. She wouldn't talk to him his freshman year because he was too immature. So they didn't date at all through college. He went overseas and played professional basketball for like a year.
Okay.
Came back. She was already like working for the university in housing. And he was just coming back to finish his undergrad.
Okay.
And she's like, you're still kind of immature, you know?
Yeah.
Gave him another chance. And yeah, kind of the rest is history.
So when you were born, was your dad still playing any kind of basketball, or was that in the past?
No, he was actually still coaching for the women's program at Clemson.
Oh, really?
And then started his own business, landscape maintenance business, shortly after I was born.
Okay.
Man, I almost thought we could have been related, because my family's like from my grandfather was at Clemson.
Is everybody in the upstate somewhat related somehow?
Somewhat related somehow.
No, they ain't keen to me.
No, not even close.
Yeah. All right, cool. So what was it like growing up in this basketball family? Was basketball like your first love, or was it something that grew on you?
It was, and my parents probably did what most do. And when I was 2 or 3, bought me a little Tykes, red, white, and blue, plastic goal.
Got one in my family room right now.
Yeah, and so I think I just started and picked it up and kept doing it. But my dad never really pushed me at all towards basketball. He just said, do what you want. So I played soccer, I played baseball, I played basketball, but basketball kind of grew on me as a love and just kind of stayed there.
Cool. Did you have siblings that you were competitive with back then?
Not really. So I'm the oldest of 3. I have 2 younger sisters. So for most of my life, they were the get away from me. You're not cool. You're younger. They're 2.5 and 5 years from me.
I'm the same way. So I'm in the middle of 2 sisters, and then I've got a younger brother who's 11 years younger than me. He's way younger than the 3 of us. But it's always funny to me when people talk about fighting with their sister when they were little. Like, I never did that because I just didn't have anything in common with them, right? Like, I didn't wear their clothes or they didn't play sports. It's kind of funny when people are like, oh, yeah, I hated my sister growing up. Well, I don't even really have that many memories with my little sister.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can remember really babying my youngest sister.
Sure.
Because 6 years is enough to where... when I'm 12, she's 6, so there's a big gap. But the middle sister definitely got a lot of my attitude for sure. She was kind of shared schools with me, at least for a year or there in high school. So she was kind of always wanting me to think she was cool. And it wasn't until we went off to school that I realized she was cool.
There you go. So Anderson University, are you like the second or third?
I think he's like
person
the 5th.
on the yeah. It's a popular school around here. So
it is, apparently.
What was it like going to Anderson? Were you actively recruited, or was that something that you wanted to go to Anderson and kind of sent them some video, or how did that work out?
Not at all. So I was definitely a late bloomer. So when I was a junior, I played on a good high school. I went to Daniel. We made it pretty far in like the state tournament. Pretty much every year I played varsity. And
what year did you graduate from high school?
03.
03, okay.
So,
yeah, Daniel's a pretty big high school.
Yeah, I mean, it was the smallest 3A school in South Carolina the whole time I was in high school.
Yeah.
They redid the school, and now it's kind of it's gotten bigger.
But they're known for their sports. I mean, they kind of sort because they're right there in Clemson's backyard.
Yeah,
definitely football more so at Daniel.
It's funny. I remember when I was little, I loved that Pistol Pete movie, Pete Maravich.
That's right.
And I never it was like literally last week that I realized that was Daniel High School. That Daniel High School is the Daniel High School that he went to.
I mean, every team that would come and play us that wasn't in our conference, first thing they ask,
Pistol Pete,
where's the jersey?
Right.
They want to see it. So that's it. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool, man. So yeah, what was it like going to Anderson and playing there? How'd you get there?
Yeah, so it was great. I mean, like I said, I was a late bloomer, so I wasn't recruited at all until the summer before my senior year. I lost like 35 pounds, completely kind of changed my game. My dad told me I don't need to plan on playing college basketball. That was the first time I realized how vindictive I was. So I was like, all I needed was for him to tell me that he didn't think I could, and it just lit a fire that was pretty crazy.
That's
so
awesome.
The chip was there permanently after that. So PC, Newberry, Anderson, a lot of D2 schools started recruiting me kind of heavily and was like, who's the new kid? Where do you move from? We've been watching you play for 3 or 4 years. He hasn't been on the team. And then,
Oh no,
so,
you were on the team the whole time.
Yeah, so I was a little late, but
What position were you playing?
So I was a combo guard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I played point guard and shooting guard. And Doug Novak was the coach at Anderson College at the time. 3 out of the 4 years I was there, it was still AC. And I was the first graduating class from AU. So, yeah, 20 minutes up the road.
Yeah, man. My wife went there. She played softball there.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, they had some good softball teams the whole time I was there.
That campus is beautiful, especially now. Have you been out there lately?
Not in the last year or so, but as soon as I left, like they built the new huge library, the new student center, everything kind of
They got a new
started.
soccer stadium. They bought the Anderson Fairgrounds.
Did they?
They're putting the football stadium out there, and that's where the soccer
That's
team's
right.
going to play.
When is their program starting?
I think it's like within the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But what's amazing though, if you think about it, like I've looked at the attendance for Anderson College, it's like the biggest in their division. Like, because they're in the same division as Carson Newman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Carson Newman, Lenore Ryan.
Yeah,
all
and Carson
those.
Newman's always been known to have a good football team. And so
That was
now-
our biggest rival. I went to Grand Valley State University, which is D2. So we would always see Carson Newman in the national championship.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of Clemson, comes out of Anderson College.
No doubt. Well, a lot of CrossFit athletes, that's for sure.
Yeah, apparently.
So what did you go to school for? What were your career goals back then?
Yeah, so from the time I was probably 13 or 14, I used to watch on TLC the surgery videos. Like, you could flip through TLC and like they would be doing like a shoulder surgery.
Okay, yeah.
And my parents would be like, "Why are you watching that?" Like, I think that's the coolest thing ever. Like, they're doing brain surgery tonight. So definitely medicine from the time I was probably an early teenager. So my plan was always to pre-med as an undergrad and then eventually go to med school. So I majored in biology at Anderson, and Spanish and chemistry minor, which are super not useful now. Kind of like biology, but yeah, when I got done playing, I was tired of either studying or practicing all the time. And so I just kind of took a break from school and ended up making my way into nursing.
Okay.
But decided that, 8 more years of school probably is not what I wanted to do like I thought it was.
Awesome. So where'd you go to nursing school at then?
USC Upstate.
Okay, great. So that's kind of how you found your way to Spartanburg then?
That's right. Yeah, so I took a job right out of school. Hollister, manager there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like right out of school.
The loud colors.
They got me.
Yeah, man.
The store in Greenville or the one in Anderson that went?
So I started at Haywood.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started at Haywood like literally the week after I graduated. Because I just was tired of being broke and I just wanted to make a little bit of money and party. So I did that. They transferred me to Spartanburg because they needed managers there. And I was there for a couple years until I realized that I probably need to do something else.
Okay, so you didn't go straight to nursing school.
No.
You were the manager at Hollister for a few years and then went to nursing school.
And then went back to school. Yep. And that's where I met my wife at nursing school.
Lucky. Is she a nurse too?
She's a pharmacist now. So she was a nurse. She worked in the ER at Spartanburg Regional. Then we both worked together as home health nurses for about 2 years. And then she finally said, I can't do this.
That's
like,
a lot.
I got to go back to school. So she went back and did 4 years at PC for pharmacy. So yeah, now she's a PharmD. She just got done with residency. I don't know. She's been practicing now for almost a year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, are you still a home health nurse, or are you just a regular like hospital nurse? Or
I'm just a.
I'm not like just.
I'm just a fitness coach and emotional shepherd.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So do you still have are you an RN at all anymore?
I am. I keep my license active and do my CEUs and stuff, but I'm not a practicing nurse at this time.
All right. So at what point, you're playing college basketball, you graduate, did you keep your fitness up, or did you kind of let that go and find it again, or were you always into fitness ever since you graduated from college?
I was always into not letting myself go back to being chubby. So that meant that I needed to stay active.
He's working at Hollister too, so.
Yeah. So it's a little bit more. It's a little bit deeper than that. So I was huge appetite, chubby my whole life, got made fun of a lot, and up until I was 17 was just that. So when I lost all that weight and finally got some confidence, the body image issues were still there, but at least I could develop some confidence. So I kind of thought, well, I have to keep looking like this, or else I'm going to feel different. So I was always in the gym. I actually still had some hoop dreams until I was about 25 or 26, truthfully. So when I got done playing, my knees were in really bad shape. But, I've been pounding on them playing in like asphalt and pavement gyms my whole life in Clemson, like trying to find the good games and not going to the nice hardwood courts and weight training and doing strength and conditioning and doing agility. I was just pounding on myself.
Right.
When I started just playing and not training, my knees started to feel better. I considered trying to go play overseas and get some tryouts. I actually went to some camps.
Did you play all 4 years at Anderson College?
I did. Yeah.
Did you have any injuries or anything while you were there?
Just chronic knee issues. That's it. So I really wanted to keep playing in that. I think when I was working at Hollister, I was still playing basketball sometimes at 6 in the morning and 6 at night, finding really good games with college players, former college players, professional players. I still kind of had those hoop dreams, but I needed to just kind of grow up. So after that, I was just in the gym I would play here and there, but I was just doing like, Men's Health would come out with the fold out workout of the month. I would take that and I would look at it and like do it, every other day until the new magazine came out. So I was like when someone showed me what a superset was, that's all I needed. So in a way, I always was really anxious, and I'm like, I can't sit here and rest. I need to be doing this, then rest 30 seconds or rest a minute. So it was almost like I already had the foundation of doing high intensity,
right?
Compound movements. I just didn't know what they were yet.
So when Greenville had the semi-professional basketball team, did it ever cross your mind to try out for them?
Absolutely.
Did you try out?
I didn't.
No. Okay.
Did you and Hudson Fricky ever throw down?
We didn't. It's so crazy that how much we do kind of have in common. Like he ended up at Milligan.
Yeah.
And my wife is from Johnson City, and my father-in-law is a tenured professor at Milligan.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, it's been kind of crazy. And the fact that like another basketball player, it's not a common path to an aspiring CrossFit athlete. I mean, generally they're not 5'8", 5'9". Generally they have some limitations that other athletes don't that come into the fitness space. But I mean, Hudson's, moves amazingly, and yeah, I have a ton of admiration for him in general. But we met at regionals and just kind of talked for about 20 or 30 minutes in the athlete warm-up area, and that's the first time he told me about basketball and then kind of his journey and how he made it to owning his own gym and all that stuff.
So how'd you get introduced to CrossFit then?
I guess when I was about, my first open was like 2013. It's 2021. So probably 2012. So maybe 5 years after I graduated. So 25, 26. Bryson, one of my good friends who I played against in college, he went to St. Andrews University in North Carolina. He was a manager at Hollister. We would go play ball all the time, and then finally he was like, hey man, my neighbor is doing this thing in his garage and you got to come try it. And typical story, he asked me a bunch of times. I told him I didn't know what it was. It's not that I had anything against it. I just didn't care enough to go try it. He finally drugged me into the garage one day. It was half Murph. I was a server at Olive Garden at the time, making the transition into nursing school. Couldn't straight my arm after we did a half Murph, because of course I was doing them strict or trying to, and definitely a mild case of rhabdo for sure, but it was awful. Of course, it made me feel like I wasn't in shape at all, and then I just came back the next day, and as most people say, the rest is history. So
it is such a simple workout though. Just run a mile.
It is.
Pull-ups, and then what is the other one? Box step? No, it's not box step. Squats.
Yeah.
And mine was 800,
and
then like 50, 100, 150, running 800. And I know I didn't do it unpartitioned. I'm sure BJ, was my first coach, everything, told me, hey man, just do 5, 10, 15 and just do it for 10 rounds. And I'm sure I was to failure.
Oh man, Murph, dude. We just started Murph Prep on Monday, and my arms are pretty sore from the pull-ups. Yeah, actually, man, it's not the pull-ups so much, because when you're butterflying, your momentum's taking you. Because we were doing Cindy, so it's just 5. So that wasn't a big deal. It's the push-ups that kill me.
Yeah, push-ups.
The push-ups crush me.
In my opinion, the push-ups are probably the slowest movement of the workout. The squats are long, but you can gut them out.
Right.
The push-ups are just, hey, I'm doing 2s, man.
Yep. That's what it was at the end of the workout. I was just struggling to get 2 or 3 strung together.
Inevitably,
but it's fun,
your
man.
hands will rip, though.
I do love that workout. So you went to the garage. You did the workout. Did you go to an actual gym after that, or what happened?
Yeah, so the garage kind of outgrew itself.
Okay, so he was having a bunch of folks come there.
Yeah, I mean, I think just very organically, old school, how CrossFit started.
Yeah.
People started coming to his garage, and people started telling other people, and you're not going to turn them down. But eventually, with 1 rower, with 2 bars, with 1 pull-up bar, you can't get everybody through in 2 hours, much less an hour.
Right.
So he found a small space pretty close to their house, opened up EDC CrossFit was the name of it at the time. Probably with about 20 members, probably 20 of us, our core group, and then it just kind of grew. About a year later, he moved into a location off of Highway 9 in Bowling Springs, a little bit bigger, continued to grow a little more, and then moved into a spot in Spartanburg that was about 5,000 square feet. So it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And then BJ actually decided to pursue other career options. A couple who was going there at the time really was like super into it, wanted to own their own gym, just, I mean, all about it. They took it over, and then they actually are the ones that ended up changing hands to my wife and I. So in 2015, my wife was about to start pharmacy school. We were going to get married. We had just bought a house. We bought the gym.
Wow.
So probably not the best time. And I was still working as a full-time nurse, you know, so probably not the ideal time. But, I mean, I was coaching. I knew all the members. I mean, it had equipment.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is what I really want to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. At the time, it was just kind of a hobby. But I was like, I got to do it. So we did it, and my wife is amazing. I mean, she knew that it was just going to be, you know, me from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'm either seeing patients or I'm there. So, and that's how it was for years and years and years.
So what did that do to your fitness level? I mean, as far as I know that, like, when I opened up my physical therapy clinic in Greer back in 2016, and then we had our first son right then, we bought our first house, like, all at the same time. It was super stressful, and my fitness kind of went down instead of up. How did you handle all the stress of all of those things going on? Did it impact your fitness at all, or do you feel like your fitness is what helped you keep everything together?
I think I, by nature, am just extremely anxious. So I always have energy to work out.
Yeah.
I would get there at 4 and do something before I coach the 5. And then in between the 6 and the 8, I would work out again. So from the time I started and I heard about the competition aspect of it, I was already drawn to that because I needed something. If I didn't have basketball, I needed something to try to compare, beat other people at, something.
Right.
So I actually hired a coach. I thought at that time I needed one. Looking back now, I definitely did not. I needed to just focus on basics and work on good movement patterns and not volume. But I hired a coach. He programmed for me for like 2 or 3 years. I would do the class workouts and then do the stuff that he would write for me. And that was, finding time to work out was never an issue.
Good. So you stayed dialed in. So as far as you're a regionals athlete, when was your first regionals?
Well, first and only was 2017 on a team.
Okay.
Yeah, the last year they did a 6-person team. So 3 male, 3 female was the year that we made it.
How exciting was that?
It was awesome. I mean, as far as people have asked me before, what's my most memorable event in CrossFit competition, it was that. And I mean, we didn't do well. You know, we performed to the best of our abilities, but we weren't competitive, like trying to get a game spot. Just being there, though, around all those higher level people, it was an awesome experience. I actually hung out in the warm-up area a lot of the weekend. So when we weren't competing, I was just watching. I was watching the individuals, how they warm up, how they prep, how they cool down. It was just trying to learn when I was there.
What team were you on?
So that was CrossFit Crash.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as you bought the gym, you and your wife, did you guys change the name to Crash, or did you maintain the old name for a while? And how did that kind of come around?
Yeah, so it was EDC CrossFit, and then it became Black Sheep Training Center. And then when we took it over in 2015, I knew that I wanted to affiliate. I knew that during the Open every year, submitting videos would have just been miserable. I knew people were going to be into it. I didn't want to have to send people to other gyms to do the workouts. So I said, no, we need to drink the Kool-Aid, and we need to pay for the name for sure. So we tried to think of names, and we took the gym over in like February, and it wasn't until October that we affiliated. And my friend Bryson, who I said kind of took me into the gym the first time, he had this old Rhino, this plastic Rhino. And do you know who Mark Echo is? Do you know the clothing brand, Mark Echo? So he worked at Dillard's, and there was just a black Rhino as like on a Mark Echo stand. And he's like, dude, we took the stand down. Do you want this Rhino? Like, maybe it can be a gym mascot one day.
Jacked.
And I was
rhinos.
like, okay, I mean,
What a-
yeah, sure, we'll take it. So I was trying to think of names, and of course the cool names are taken, and I'm like, well, a herd of rhinos is a crash. That would be so cool, but there's no way. So I searched CrossFit Crash. A gym in Australia had just closed, so the name was available. And I was
Nice.
like, this is awesome. I'm a big, alliteration was awesome. CrossFit Crash just sounded good.
Yeah.
We have this rhino. It can kind of be the mascot. And people ask, why is it a rhino? I was like, oh, well, that's what a herd of rhinos is called. So that's kind of where it kicked off. So 2015.
I had no idea.
I was today years old when
Yes.
I found out a herd of rhinos is called
a
Crash.
A crash.
There it is.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's awesome. That's creative too.
Yeah, so you'll still see in the, well, to most people, the athlete warm-up area for the competitions is also just like an auxiliary gym for people to do their own programming.
Right.
That rhino is still in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you'll still see the rhino on some of the shirts, and some of the front desk has that LED metal cut rhino, which is really cool looking. But yeah, the rhino will still kind of live on as the mascot.
So tell us about moving into the new building you're at. How did that come about?
So members at the previous location, new members, came from North Carolina looking for a gym, found ours, really dug it. After about 6 to 8 months, hey, what's your plan with this? What's your vision with this? And I was like, what do you mean? This is the vision. Like, I want to grow it, slow and steady progress. Well, what about when you move out of this space? That was not anything I was thinking about. I was happy just paying the monthly rent. I had asked the landlord a couple times if he would sell the whole building and knock out one of the separating walls so I could expand, but he wasn't interested. And Wayne and Laura are their names. They said, well, you need to look for a bigger spot. Like, we can see the passion that you have, and you're going to outgrow this. So you need to be thinking about that. And to me, I'm just thinking about the money and how I can't afford it. So they were like, well, let's look for buildings. We'll help you look for buildings. They're retired and just wanted to help. And I turned them down a bunch of times. They're like, we could be business partners. And I was like, no, I don't like that idea. I just want to be the sole owner, and I don't like knowing that I owe people money and all this kind of stuff. So reluctantly went to look at some spaces, one being where we are now. And I remember calling my wife and saying, it's too big. It's way too big. Like, we're in 5,000 square feet. This building is 10,000 square feet of main space, and then another 5,000 in office space. It's like, I'm not going to be able to fill this up. It's just going to be a bunch of empty rooms. And they just kind of kept, trying to push me in the direction of, it's not going to be that bad, but you really, like, this could be your dream gym. What do you want it to look like? This could be it. And so reluctantly, thank goodness, I let them help me. And then Wayne helped me get that building from a forklift repair shop to what it is now. And we had to hire some contractors for plumbing, like to redo the bathrooms, to dig the trench. Like, we had to have that stuff done. But as far as the other stuff, I mean, we would see something on the list for the contractors. Drop ceiling. Nah, man, we got that. Let's mark that off. Are you sure? He said, oh yeah, I've done it before. Light fixtures. I'll get those off Amazon. We're not getting these through them.
This is your buddy.
This is my
your partner.
Business partner. Yeah, my friend. And I'm just sitting there wide-eyed, like, whatever you say. Like, you could be telling me completely wrong information. I wouldn't know.
At this point,
the floors, I mean, were just grease.
Yeah.
I mean, we etched and like acid treated the floors at least twice just to get it to where the glue for the flooring would stick to it. I mean, the turf came in, we cut it. We did all that. He put up the lights. He put up the speakers. That's the sound system. One of my other friends built that front desk. Another one donated a slab of granite for the sink. I mean, the flooring in the bathrooms in the kids' room was put down by one of my members. I bought it at Sam's, and he was like, oh, I can do this, man. I build houses. I'll just put it down for you. Wow. So, I mean, it's been amazing. And I think about it a lot, how when I walk into it, it just feels like the gym now. Yeah. But when I think about what it looked like, or something comes up on my timeline, the iPhone will kind of remind you on this day 3 years ago. And it was like a picture of just us walking around in the gym. Like,
it's a beautiful gym.
How is that this place?
That is incredible. So at that point, when you started looking for buildings, had your membership grown to the point where you were confident that you were going to be able to fill that building, or has a lot of your growth happened after you purchased the building?
No. I mean, so in March when the mandate came out to close, we closed the old gym, and my plan was, okay, this will be 2 weeks, and we'll come back, and then it became a month. And then the goal was, to open the new space sometime in the summer. And Wayne told me, he said, look, man, I know this is awful. I know this is super stressful for you because you don't know if members are going to leave. You don't know if they're going to want to come back. You leased out all your equipment to them, but that doesn't mean they're not just going to drop it off and like not come back again. But we can get this place ready faster now. You have all these hours. And I mean, it was a blessing in disguise. I was laid off as a nurse in November. So he was like, all you have to do is this now. So you can get this place ready. And when you reopen in May, everyone can just bring all the stuff back here. So yeah, I was definitely confident members wise, we would fill it. But to me, it was still a huge space. And how am I gonna make ends meet every month? What if 30 people decide not to come back after the quarantine? I was doing the math. It was super stressful. And I mean, you guys understand, anyone who's a small business owner does, that this past year has really taken a toll, I would say, emotionally on people more than anything. But I tell people all the time, if I can make it through 2020, I can make it through anything.
Absolutely.
That's an amazing story. I mean,
I was on like pins and needles listening to that whole thing. That is awesome. And it takes a lot of faith too.
Absolutely.
A lot of prayer, I'm sure, went into that.
100%.
That is amazing.
So how many members have you gained since you moved to that gym?
I would say between 50 and 75. And I call them ride or dies. So people ask me how many members I have all the time, and I tell them I don't really know, and they look at me crazy like, how do you not know how many members you have? So, well, they're members that I may see for a couple months, and then they'll kind of drift away for a month, and then they'll come back. And then there's ride or dies that if I say, hey, we're working out in the parking lot today, gym's closed for a week, and they're like, what time? So the ones that I know, when I leased equipment out to them, I had no worry if they were going to come back. Those are the members that I truly count, because those are the ones that are going to come back, that this is a part of their life, this is a part of their families' lives, the couples, the kids, all that. Those are the ones that, members for life, truly.
That's awesome.
So tell us about you as a coach.
What's your methodology as a coach?
So this is interesting too, because when I graduated from school, I thought about getting into coaching for basketball. I would coach camps in the summer. I would be a counselor at vacation Bible schools. And I think just especially my mother saw in me the gift that you have is helping others. Whether you're teaching someone how to dribble with their offhand, or you're teaching them how to tie their shoe, that's what you're supposed to be doing. So when I started coaching classes for BJ, loved it. Being in front of a group, being what I call now impeccable with my word, really trying to say what I mean. That was something that, after a week or two, started to come natural to me. I think early on, CrossFit frowns on frowns on the cheerleader coach, but I was definitely that starting out. It was just a good job, clapping a lot, yelling at people to get down and keep going. And some people love that. And then as you grow as a coach, just like as an athlete or as a person, you realize that Kevin needs to be coached completely different than someone else does. You can treat them both fairly, but not the same. So I think the way I coach some is tough love. People's tendencies are to be a little lazier, and people's tendencies are to overreach their abilities and what's safe. So I may be pulling on the rope with one person and then trying to give the other person a little bit of a nudge.
That's awesome. And, you have to build that relationship with your members to know who's who and who can take what. So that speaks volumes to you, really getting to know each individual and how to coach them as they come into your gym. I think that's great. What is your methodology around competition programming? Or what's your thought about competition programming?
So you and I have had this conversation.
We have.
So I just kind of wanted you to bring it out again, because you did the Crucible, so that was a big success.
Absolutely.
Can you go into a little bit about that? I mean,
Sure. So when Wayne took me to the space and he said, what is your vision for the future of Crash? And I said, well, I want it to be a great gym, a great community, and I also want it to be a destination for really, really high level competitions. That's what I want. So when I envisioned the gym, I want 5 ropes to the left of this beam, all spaced out this much. I want 5 to the right of that beam, so I have 10 ropes. They're all hanging from the exact same height. 40 feet from that, I want 10 sets of rings, 5 on each side. I want 2 rigs closing in that square so that I can see events happening and see the flow of competition and see spectators watching it. I thought about all that. And I went to Rich's gym for my level 2. And when I went in there, I was like, if I have my own space, it's not going to be this big, but this is how I would love to lay it out. I would love to have a turf that's big enough to where people can do sled workouts and where people can do, whatever on it without, one strip that's only big enough for 1 or 2 people. Because I know that's something that other gyms don't have.
right.
And so when I started laying it out, it was like, okay, this is actually going to look like I want to look. Well, the carpet has to match the drapes. So if I'm going to have this space and do this competition, I need to do it as professionally as the space looks.
Yeah.
So I started about, I don't know, almost 2 years away recruiting actively athletes from the area. And there's ones that were easy to get in touch with. Hudson, Josh was in the gym already. A lot of athletes that were already household names in the upstate because they had made a lot of regionals or won a lot of local competitions and stuff like that. But I'd also kind of through networking met a lot of guys down at Think Tank in Alpharetta. So I had a kind of a relationship with some of them. And then I knew that, I can go and look at local competitions and look at the top 5 and just everyone's on Instagram. Look them up, send them a DM, hope they see it. Hey, dude, I'm putting on this competition. It's going to be really high level. These are the people I can tell you who have already committed. And I would just name drop. And I told all of them, I'm going to exploit your name to get bigger people to come. I want to put up good prize money, and I want it to be like a premier competition for off season in the Southeast, because like Independence Games was huge that last year before I guess whatever happened, and they had to cancel. I mean, Chandler Smith, Travis Mayer, really big names were going to Florence, South Carolina. Like, if they go to Florence, they'll come to Spartanburg too.
Yes,
for
I
sure.
just have to get it there. So the first year was, I worked extremely hard trying to talk people into it. It's going to be 3 days. It's not going to be a 1-day thing. I'm not going to beat you up and do 6 events in 8 hours. I want it to feel like what you guys are used to. And it was probably perfect timing because that was during a year that there were no in-person comps. So like there were a couple sanctionals that happened, but people didn't get that feel of judging each lane, grid style, let's race.
Yeah.
And people needed to feel that. So I was confident that I could take advantage of that and provide an opportunity to compete in a place that would feel as much like a regional or a sanctional as it could. And I think that's where the programming part comes into play. That, training hard myself, being around a lot of higher level athletes, communicating with a lot of higher level athletes through, text or, through Instagram and talking times. And I geek out on that stuff. So watching regionals, watching games, seeing what people are capable of, seeing what's trending as far as what is now tested and what is kind of not a good test anymore, because that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would say, I mean, Fran is an unbelievable test for the general population, a great test retest, but for high level people, it's who can lock out the fastest, who can hit depth the fastest, and who's got the most ideal anthropometrics to do fast pull-ups. Like, it's more of a body type test and not a true capacity test anymore.
Right.
So I tested them, all of the Crucible events myself, and then the ones that I knew I wasn't going to be able to have a competitive time relative to the field of competitor, I just got other people to do it. Dane Smith did a couple for me because he couldn't come.
Okay.
And I had networked, and his wife lives close to Spartanburg, and so they came early on in their relationship before they got married and would train at the old crash. So I mean, I've always tried to make those contacts and hold on to those relationships, because I knew if I just reach out to him and say, hey dude, what's up? I hadn't talked to you in a while. You mind hitting this for me and letting me know? I'm thinking 10 minutes is the right cap, but I think it maybe should be 7 or 8.
Dane's a good dude. I've met him several times. I met him at the Independence Games, and then, like I said before, when Goat Tape sent me around to shoot all of our athletes, I went to Kryptonite, so that was fun.
That's cool.
I can tell you what happened at the Independence Games. It was when they decided to move the games in the schedule instead of it being in the summer, when they started doing the sanctionals. When they came out with that, all the people that they had were coming had to drop because they had to start going to sanctionals in, and that was just it was really bad for Justin and them. I felt bad for them, but it hasn't been the same. So I don't think they're doing it anymore. But I was there when they had Chandler Smith and Dane Smith and Mark Hutchinson, and Ashley Scudds was there, and they were, like you said, they were growing it, and you are right. It's like, wow, they're going to Florence. Why can't we? There's nothing in Florence. Talladega. What is not Talladega, but the Black Widow, the racetrack there. They don't even use it anymore. So.
Yeah, it's very cliche, but people still say it to me all the time, and I do agree with it. I mean, if you build it, they will come. So if you can market it correctly, I mean, I've got an amazing photographer coming out.
You said it, not me.
I've got an amazing videographer in Rick.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I mean, my gosh, the talent that he has and the blessing that he's been to just help grow my brand.
Right.
In that growing zone. I mean, I know I can post these dope videos where people can see it and just say, that looks really legit. I see that face, I see that face, I see that face. And then, when all these people qualified for the next round for semifinals, and I'm just waiting, rubbing my hands together like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And Josh and Hudson weren't able to finish the Open. I mean, that's 2 more. That's like 10 people of the men's field that are moving on. And top 120 North America is much harder than making regionals used to be. Mm-hmm. If you do the math and you add up all the participants at the regionals or the super regionals, it's fewer slots now because you're including Canada now. Mm-hmm. So, like, I was even like pretty pleasantly surprised with how many males and females that came for the first year of the competition are moving on. And a lot of them have reached out to me and have just kept in touch with me since October.
Yeah.
I tried to develop those relationships in person. It was tough. Masks, temperature checks, all that. I mean, it was definitely a risk just trying to put on that event. But everyone was so appreciative to just come do something.
Yeah,
you did an amazing job.
No one else wanted to do it.
It was incredible. I was going to ask, what was the athletes' feedback? As far as what did they think of the programming and the competition and the environment? What kind of feedback did they give you?
Well, so a resounding strikeout on the kettlebell front rack standard, which I 100% agree with. Uh-huh. It was a movement. It's kind of weird too, because I try to keep an eye out for the trends from the powers that be. And, sanctionals in 2019, a lot of people took that double overhead kettlebell lunge as like something that they used that a lot of people weren't testing, so people were just using it.
Right.
And I was like, I really like that, but some of the nastiest like breathing and core workouts that I've done with odd objects have been with kettlebells in the front rack. So what if we do squats? What if we do squats with burpee box jump overs and then finish it with a lunge? Finishing with a lunge is like going back to Tia and Cara, like is one of the most exciting finishes you can have in a workout. When two people are lunge for lunge and then one breaks and one doesn't. And so I envisioned it. I tried to come up with a standard that I thought wasn't going to give people an advantage, but I should have just left it and just been like, hold the kettlebells however you want, whatever. Because it would have still been a good test. There wouldn't have been discrepancies in judges. There wouldn't have been discrepancies in athletes. Because at that point, when you're doing an event for pretty good money and the athletes are really fit, I don't blame them at all. If you're next to me and you can hold your kettlebells on your shoulders and I have to touch my knuckles, it's way harder for me than it is for you. We're not doing the same workout. We're not doing the same movement.
So what was your prize purse for first place?
$3,000.
$3,000. And what is it going to be for Crescendo that's coming up?
The same.
Same?
Yeah, that's the plan. So moving forward, Crescendo will be all team. Crucible will be individual and possibly male-female elite, and keeping that elite division. The plan is for Crucible, making it a 3-day competition for the individuals. And on Saturday in the morning, letting the individuals sleep, rest up, having them start their competition day at like noon and go from 12 to 4, 12 to 5. Having a gauntlet style, throw your money in the bucket, winner take all, to get more people to come out.
That's awesome.
Like individual.
Yeah.
So running clock, start the workouts in the back. First workout's a 5K bike erg for time. At the 15-minute mark, 30 muscle-ups for time. At the, whatever minute mark, 8 rep max front squat from the floor. At the 45-minute mark, sled push, handstand push-up workout or whatever. But just have heats of like 8 people going. First come, first serve. 100 athletes only. People will fill the gym.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
get a workout in. It's cool. I mean, who doesn't want to just throw in $20 to try to win 1,000?
No,
And,
that's one of the coolest. Yeah, that's one of the coolest things. Like places, Wadapalooza, they do stuff like that.
That's right.
And it's great, man. It's like a festival. It really brings people in, makes them feel like they're a part of the fitness community and not just a spectator.
Have you thought about doing a hopper style?
That would be cool too.
I've shot hopper styles before. We did it at they do them up at Beer City Beatdown in Asheville, and they'll basically have like the bingo thing. They'll have the balls in there, and they'll stop and pull one out.
I have,
And that's what the original ones were.
Absolutely, and I have a ton of respect for CrossFit methodology, and the hopper is one of the core parts of it.
Right.
I think though that in the competition space now, there's already a resounding opinion that, hey, you want this to be a sport? We don't really even know the rules. Event to event. We know that we don't know.
Right.
And that's it. So if I program a competition and I program, 2 movements that are hinges on the floor, and I program 3 squatting movements, and I program 2 or 3 overhead movements, and I program 2 higher skill gymnastics pulling movements, and then I say for the final, we're just going to do hopper style. And we've already had a deadlift bar muscle up workout, and deadlift bar muscle up comes out again. I mean, what are you going to say? Oh, we'll just do that again, because we know you guys have already done those. Now, I could always control the movements that are in the hopper. True. But at that point, is it a hopper?
No.
So if I take out all the movements that I've already tested, the hopper model is kind of mute at that point.
See, this is why he's the mastermind.
So I think
this is it.
So I think doing stuff like that, and I use cute, and I don't mean it negatively. Doing cute things like that, depending on the athletes that are there, could be like the thing that keeps everyone coming back, because I know there's a local competition and my members love to do it every year. You guys can help me out with the gym that hosts it. They don't release anything until you get there. And I think that's awesome. Like they don't release any events until you get there. And I think that's really cool, because that's something that people will say, have you thought about just not releasing events and just telling everyone when they get there? Have I thought about that? Yes. If you're a professional athlete, or you consider yourself a professional athlete, do you want to take the risk of having really, really poor programmed workouts because you couldn't see them ahead of time, those people ain't coming.
Right.
And I'll tell people that all the time. Like, yes, I could do these things, these like, whoa, look at this. How cool is this? Those athletes want to know that the tests are legit, that the juice is worth the squeeze. The squeeze being how beat up they're going to get in a weekend for a decent prize purse. And that the workouts are thought out before you just throw them together, and they're not just sexy, and they're not just crazy heavy, and they're not crazy amounts of reps. You know, that everything is how it would feel if they try to compete and go to the games.
Right, yeah. More is not always better. Hey guys, we're going to take a break to thank our sponsors for today's episode. We're going to start off with CrossFit Greer. If you're living in the Greer area and are interested in getting started in CrossFit, go ahead and look up CrossFit Greer. Jen and Reagan Green are the owners there. If you mention the Apogee podcast to them, they will give you 10% off your first month's membership fees.
I would also like to thank Blitz Belts and Chris Kane for their continued support of the show. So be sure to use their 15% off coupon code at checkout. That's Apogee, all caps. That gets you, the listener, 15% off at checkout at Blitz Belts on your custom order. I want to thank Goat Tape for being our new sponsor. Goat Tape has committed its brand to providing the best in athletic tape. They are the standard for CrossFit tape, scary sticky. Now they are providing the best in KT tape. So at checkout, be sure to get your 25% off your wholesale purchase. Use the coupon code Apogee at checkout.
Finally, if you guys would like to become an invested friend of the show and are interested in supporting the show directly, go to anchor.fm/Apogee Podcast and click on the support tab. We love bringing you guys awesome content each week, so be sure to subscribe to the podcast, drop a review, and let us know how we're doing.
Let me ask you this question. With the mentality that you've expressed and the passion that you obviously have for the competition floor and for bringing people in to compete at a high level, if CrossFit came to you and said, hey, would you consider being a sectional? Would that be something that you would entertain?
Sectional, like old school?
No.
Like,
I mean,
sectional?
well, I
Like
guess,
an off-season event?
yeah, like an off-season event to get points or whatever.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I think that I don't know that I could still do it at Crash. I don't know if that space would allow for that.
I don't think it would, but
it may. But I mean, at that point, then I'm doing it even more so just because I love to do it, and not for I guess the financial benefits.
Right.
You know, if they came to me and asked that, and you know, a lot of the competitors, you know, that came, were just like, dude, this really feels like what I usually feel like when I'm at a regional organization. I mean, Kevin putting up all those super bright lights. I mean, it felt different. Even for the members at Crash, they were like, this is crazy. I mean, we work out here every day, and I'm climbing that rope, and I feel like 300 people are watching me, and there's a really bright light, and someone's taking pictures. Like, I feel important, you know,
It
which
was
is
incredible.
awesome. So, yeah, I don't have any cap on what I envision it to be. I would love to do it at our gym for as long as I can.
right.
For as long as I can, you know, have a good competitive field, have a lot of spectators that can come check it out, because I want to do it for the community at large. The individual competition is now starting to come back again, but there for a while, individual went away, and it was just everyone did team.
Exactly.
Team is fun, and team is fun. I tell people this: everyone wants to do a competition on a team. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to watch individuals.
That's true.
Watching teams is really difficult. There's so many people moving. You don't know who's in the lead. You don't know who's winning. You don't really know the rep scheme half the time. There's no, most of the time, flow where you can tell, hey, that team's chess piece is there, so they're winning. Unless you're watching a games event. And even sometimes then, it's just like, all I see is chaos. Like, I don't know who's winning.
Especially with those worm events.
Yeah, so I think that the October competition, it's right there in the off season. Mm-hmm. So the games are usually over the very beginning of August. You have August You have September. So that's 4 games athletes, if they ever wanted to come, is still probably enough time to recoup. And if they came, maybe it's just like a favor, or it's a, hey, my buddies are doing it, so I'm going to come jump in. But for a lot of the guys who make semifinals that barely miss out for the games, they're chomping at the bit to just be on a competition floor again. And the idea of waiting until February or March when the Open starts, which is in your own gym, is just not what they want. So like beach brawl, that's usually around that same time. And that's probably the only competition that I'm looking at, as far as I want it spaced enough to where if people want to go down there and do that, they can. And then a couple weeks later, they would come and do mine too. Because I know back-to-back weeks, you're just going to pick one or the other. Right. And I would do the same thing if I was an athlete, especially one that had aspirations of moving on.
Right.
You want to pick and choose one, maybe 2 competitions. So like Wadapalooza decided not to be a semifinal, so you know that one's still going to blow up. Rogue decided not to be a semifinal, so you know that one is going to be one that people have on their radar. And why not? It's for like 20 grand, 25 grand.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I can offer that. But, you know, for right now, it is a local comp, but it's also something that I know I can continue to build. And that having that first year, all those guys and ladies that came out and all the teams, because as crazy as it was, it still added to the atmosphere.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, and it flowed so well. I was amazed that you could have that many people competing, and it's just everything was on time pretty much. I mean, it was never much of a delay as far as scheduling.
Yeah, we got about 20 or 30 minutes behind.
Yeah, which is nothing. When you're dealing with that many people and also having to go around spectators, and I thought it was incredible.
Well, I appreciate
really
that.
I thought you did an amazing job. And I told you that. I was like, look, it's your first time doing it right out the gate. You know, you've got these people here that are games athletes, you know, and it's, you know, you had the Warrior, you had the Army team there. I mean, you know, that speaks volume to you and your doggedness to get people out to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brian and Rachel, the team that won the male-female elite. I mean, the next week they were at Mayhem, and those YouTube videos have thousands and thousands of views, and people were like, "Are those the same people that were just?" I said, "Yeah, that's them."
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So they're legit. And
so, do we got any big names coming for next week?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of a geek and kind of just know names and everything, but there are. Dex Hopkins will be there. I don't know if you guys know who he is. I'm not sure that he competes anymore, but a long-time regionals games like team competitor will be there on a team. Lots of guys that were like on that bubble of moving on to semifinals will be there. And, you know, I think this being the first year that we do team, I wanted to do all male or all female teams. Moving forward, I think I will do a male, female, because I do that, and then teams that are truly teams,
right,
that are doing quarterfinals, that are doing semifinals, they will, you know, that is their team, right? Their team is not, oh yeah, we can find 2 other guys or we can find 2 other girls. It's no, we do comps the way we compete to try to go to the games. So that will definitely be there moving forward, and at that point, hopefully, I can get more of them. The timing was a little bit off this year. I don't think anyone really knew when was quarterfinals going to start. Well, then when is semifinals going to turn around and start? And how many weeks are semifinals? So, and I don't blame them. Like Jason and, you know, Taylor and, you know, a lot of those guys that come train at Crash multiple times a week that are in semifinals are like, dude, I really want to do this, but you get it. Like it's 2 weeks out from a semi. And I was like, dude, of course I get it. Yeah, I would, if you wanted to come do it, I would tell you, no, I'm not letting you sign up. Like you need to focus on your goal. Yeah. And your goal is not to compete for a little bit of cash on a 4-person team and risk injury. I mean, it's just not smart.
So let's talk a little bit more about yourself as far as competing, because you're not done competing, man. I mean, we were just talking about, before we started the podcast here, that you were doing some of your Masters qualifiers. So talk a little bit about that, and then also talk about your team.
So I don't want to jinx anything, but the team from Crash has not received an official invite for semifinals, but we have gotten the email where we take the survey that picks what venues we would like to attend, if possible, in order. So that at least tells me that the video review process has been finished. We're in the top 80, and now we're just kind of waiting.
That's awesome.
So on Monday, they send out official invites, hopefully, for the team, which was honestly kind of just thrown together right before the Open. I told the team, you know, I'm rehabbing an injury. I really want to be able to do the Masters qualifier. I don't want to hurt the team in any quarterfinal events if something comes out that I'm not able to do. So, you know, who wants in? One of the other guys who's a teammate of mine on the regionals team, he has twins that are due. He removed himself from it and was just like, if we make a semi, I'm not going to be able to like go and really not worry about my wife because it's really close to the due date.
Right.
And so we had other hungry guys, and we had 2 females that were actually on the team, one an alternate, one competed at regionals in 2017. I joke around, we're all old. They're Masters too. They're doing the qualifiers this weekend. But Caroline, Jen, Steven, and Derek all hit the workouts. They did amazing, earned a spot. So, I mean, hopefully this is not, you know, premature, but I cannot wait to get the official invite and give some congratulations to them. Hopefully we either go to Knoxville, to MAC, which is only like 2 weeks away, or you know, we could get Vegas or Minnesota too. I know everyone would do everything in their power, but they all work. They all full-time jobs. Some of them have children. So I mean, that's really short notice for travel. So I'm hopeful that we'll get a location that, you know, is easy to get to in a shorter period of time.
It's awesome. Hopefully you get to the MAC with Jason, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And now Tia's going to be there, so that'll be cool to watch her in person. Yeah, so,
absolutely.
I mean, they're loaded. The teams, the individuals, male and female, the fields are loaded there. So
yeah, they definitely stacked that one. And yeah, I guess the way they picked the semis, though, I mean, it seemed pretty fair. It just happened that it's just like the Central Regional was so stacked. I mean, that's kind of like almost the Central Regional.
That's right.
The MAC.
So I tried to help people understand that, you know, was there some talking probably within friends or within the same camps of people that train together? Hey, where are you going? You know, have we both finished in the top 30? We're probably going to get our pick. You want to go to the same place, or do you want to go somewhere different? And they came out and said, at a certain level, people got their first picks or were sent to the closest geographic location. So the fact that a lot of household names picked to travel less, it's just kind of like luck of the draw. I mean, really. So when you look at the guys that are at the MAC, I mean, you know, the names that people know from the games, none of them are having to travel very far. So, you know, it's kind of just
that's going to be the one to watch.
I think Vegas is stacked too. I mean, I was in the Atlas games has I mean, the Canadian powers in the male field is really evident these days. And just looking at all those, I mean, they came out and said, hey, if you competed out of Canada, we're sending you online. We're not going to take the chance of you not being able to travel.
Right. And Mexico.
Yeah. So, I mean, now you have them fighting for 5 spots just kind of in their own gym, which is, another dynamic. I'm sure all of them would love to be in person competing, but, you know, at least they're competing.
So let's bring it back more local. What is your current view of the state of CrossFit community in the upstate?
So I started, I guess, at a gym in 2012. And, man, I remember going to CrossFit Spartanburg just to watch Josh and AJ and some of them do the open workouts. Like, I thought that was like to me, they were just like celebrities in the game. So from that to where we are now, it's amazing how many more gyms are active. I mean, of course, there are more gyms, period.
Right.
But how many more gyms are active? I mean, you've got Jen and Gordon, you know, doing Fit as the Upstate, and that growing that brand and growing that as a big local competition. And you've got Clemson runs multiple competitions a year. Columbia, I mean, Carolina was one of the first comps that I would go to watch as a spectator or compete in, and they still do, famously cold and famously hot.
Yep.
I mean, it really feels like from Columbia up, there's a lot of action. And I was kind of concerned a year or two ago with the direction everything was going. They took away regionals. That was a big hit to a lot of gyms that their ultimate goal was either sending an individual or getting a team and competing. And they took that away for sanctionals. I know, at least in my gym, it was a really big letdown. So it seems like everything is picked back up again. Mm-hmm. That's just the feel that I get. There for a while, I've never pushed competitions on members. If they want to do it, they'll do it. If
Right.
they don't, they'll just say, I'm not interested. But there for a while, everyone just kind of had I don't know, let down kind of attitude and feeling toward any competitions, local, CrossFit HQ ran, anything. But just in this last year or so, I think taking it away from people, those quarantines really made people realize how much this stuff means to them in a competitive way, but also just in a mental health way. I mean, to get into the gym and work hard around other people, they really need that. I mean, for their sanity. So I think that that also kind of rejuvenated people and made them appreciate, oh man, I get to do these comps. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't think we would ever get to do one again.
I love it. I love how close the community's gotten within the last couple of years. And I think it's cool how all the gym owners are getting a lot closer together too. It seems like there's good communication between the gyms, and that kind of flows to the members. And I mean, I can walk into any gym right now and know people, which is awesome, and feel welcome.
Yeah, you see a lot of familiar faces now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So let's take it back a little bit further, a little bit more home. Talk about JR, the husband and the father. What's it like having a little girl now, and you've got one coming on the way, correct? Maybe.
That's what my wife thinks. We don't know.
Oh, okay.
So we waited with Lilia to find out the sex until the birth, and we're doing the same with the second.
Okay, wow.
But my wife is very convinced that I'm definitely a girl dad for life, which is fine with me. I will say that being a dad has for sure been the most life-changing thing in my life, and I know you can relate to that. It doesn't necessarily, I would say, change you as a person, but the way that you view your life, the world, does change. I remember just seeing Lilia the first time and thinking, okay, this is now the most important thing in my life. I need to keep this thing breathing. And I need to keep her safe.
That's the hardest
part. And I need to wake up in the middle of the night and make sure that her that she's not wrapped too tight. I mean, I was a mess the first couple weeks. Just I didn't know you could love something that much. Mm-hmm. It's a really crazy thing. And luckily, I had children before a lot of my good friends and members, and I've kind of gotten to mentor to them as a dad too, because I do understand what they feel. And I do understand that they have no idea what's about to happen to them.
It's so funny. I remember when my wife was pregnant for the first time, and I'd have older folks come up to me and say, man, your life is about to change. It really is. And I'd be like, I don't know. I feel like me and my wife, we're going to be able to handle it. And then it happens. And you're right. Nobody really understands. I mean, everybody's so excited that first 9 months of building up to this newborn, and then all of a sudden, literally, shit hits the fan. Literally. Sometimes you're in the middle of the night, and I have sons, so maybe their pee will hit the fan. But it is a life-changing experience, especially, I think, as a relationship with your wife, or your wife with your husband. It can either bring you closer or bring you farther apart. And I think if your relationship kind of tells where you're at in life after you have a kid, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I wouldn't say anyone is ever ready to have a kid, but there are better times and worse times to have one.
For sure.
Where you are in life, where you are with your career, but it's going to change everything.
Mm-hmm.
I am glad that me and Rebecca kind of got married later in life. And you could say, I mean, I was, I guess 30, I think, and she was like 26, I think, at the time. So, I mean, or 31 and 26 or something like that. So, it took me a while to mature. She's been very mature for a long time. And just being a team, I mean, it was never really, well, can you get her this time? Or no, I'm tired. You need to get her. It was just one of us would offer first. And I think it's made the first as easy as it can be. That and the help that we have. I mean, everyone says it takes a village, and it does.
It does.
Our mothers and, are both retired and have been able to help us out a lot when, I need help and I can't take her to the gym with me and stuff like that. Yeah. People ask me all the time, what is it like to have a kid? And this is the best, simplest way I can describe it. All those people your whole life that told you when you have a kid, you'll understand, they were right.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Just say that to yourself. All those times that, like, that feeling is they were right. Like anything. One day when you have kids, you understand why I don't want you to go here or stay out this late. Or when you have a kid, you understand why I'm worried about you just taking the car to the gas station, even though you just got your license and I know you're going to come back. I mean, all those little things like just come to fruition the first time you see that child. So yeah, being a dad is something that is really important for me to, keep tight on, to not slack, for sure. That and being a husband early on was tough because I was trying to grow the business and I was spending so much time at the gym, and I know it was really hard for Rebecca. But she understood, and now, I'm getting to be at home more, and she's seen kind of where it's gone, and she now is like, we made the right decision.
So what would you consider your greatest success in life up to this point then?
I think, to me, success is a little bit more about how you affect others. So would I consider myself successful? Sure. I think that I've had an impression on a lot of other people's lives, whether that's just giving them an outlet and a rubber floor and some walls to just blow off some steam, whether it's someone who was maybe headed toward a dark path in their life, but because they started at the gym and I was able to maybe build them up, now they're in a better place. I mean, a lot of times I don't get that feedback. Occasionally you'll get hey, I just wanted you to know I was in a really bad place before I came in here. And now, I mean, that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I get one story like that and I'm a success in my own eyes.
That's a great way to put it. I mean, yeah. A lot of people would, say, "Oh, it's my job," or "Oh, it's my kids," or "Oh, it's my." But that is a great answer to that question. It's because of time. I mean, obviously, it shows in your gym, the time that, like, and I tell coaches when they come here, the time that you pour into your athletes and stuff, it's a reflection of you, and that's what makes you a success or not a success. If you don't take the time, like with you, if you don't take the time to, when your patients come in here and make them feel like they're the only one, that you care about them, I think that goes a long way. And I think a lot of people, especially in CrossFit, get that, but I don't think it's just one of those things. It is a great feeling. I'm glad you guys share it. But it's that as somebody who's an athlete who has a coach over them, the time you pour into your athletes means a lot to them. It does. And we'll always tell you that.
And you said the word that I always think about, and that's care. Because someone's going to know if you're not genuine in that.
Mm-hmm.
You can fake like you really care, but you're going to know.
Right.
That person they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think, and I mean, Glassman, for all his shortcomings, I mean, just gave us this. And one of his pillars early on was like, as a coach, one of the most important things you can do is care, care, care. Everything else you can be taught.
Yes.
But you can't be taught how to care.
Exactly right.
You either do or you don't. So, and that's, people can feel that coming from you. I mean, when I start to talk about this stuff, I start sweating and I start like, it is what I'm supposed to be doing. And someone will know if you're just in it for money. They'll know it if you're just in it for glory, like to just make yourself like look cool on Instagram. They'll know if you're, you know, in it for any other reason other than for other people.
Right.
And helping others. Because that's all we're doing here.
Right.
I mean, it's not snatching and muscle ups, man. It is like instilling confidence in people. It is helping people realize that they're capable of more than they think. It is helping people get through other hard things in life. And getting through a really hard workout will inevitably make other things in life feel a little bit easier. 100%.
I couldn't agree more.
I agree. I'm kind of sort of there now. I'm kind of stuck in a rut, you know, but Hudson is always talking to me. I mean, I honestly haven't been to the gym in 2 weeks because I've just been busy, you know, and I feel bad as a member, you know, because that's my gym. And I, in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I wonder what they think. I wonder what he thinks. You know, I'm just like, you know, I haven't been in 2 weeks. I haven't been consistent. And I just kind of sort of feel bad, you know, and it's like, oh, I'll just go next week, or I'll just, you know, and it's one of those things where you go down this road where you're like, man, I just, you know, it's like one of those things like, I just want to give it up or whatever. And then I get back and I think about it and I'm like, no, I don't. And then something comes back up and he's like, well, I missed you today or whatever. You know, it's those things that keep you going, you know, and it's being able to text your coach and be like, look, dude, I'm sorry, you know, I'll be there or whatever. And so I think as far as the upstate goes, we have a blessing of coaches that pour a lot into their athletes, and it shows. I mean, obviously this is a great community that we have. You know, Gordon pours into his community. Amy pours into her community. The Greens pour into their community. You know, obviously you pour into your community. Hudson pours into ours. You know, it's all these gyms, you know, that they keep it going. You know, it's one of these things. It's like, you know, you can look up on the internet, is CrossFit going out of style? You know, and it's like, no, it's getting better and better. It's growing. So kudos to you as a coach.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely. All right. Where are we at? We'll edit this out. What do you think is your proudest moment? Well, you kind of covered it. You kind of covered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize goals in your life? How do you prioritize those?
I don't.
Okay.
So, you know, when someone asks me like what goals I have, I've never been a short-term person, make a list, long-term person, make a list, make a time frame. I'm not extremely organized, my wife would say. But I'm very routine oriented. I don't necessarily plan ahead, but I have my routines, and if I get thrown off my routine, I get really irritated.
I know how that feels.
So, you know, I try to really simplify it as, you know, I wake up every day, that's a gift, right? God's given me another day to try to positively affect people's lives. That is my goal for today, and that's it. And like when I started the gym, people would ask me, well, what's your goal? How many members do you want? I said, this is my goal. That when people come, they don't leave. So 100% retention. And I grow slowly. That was my goal. Because I know that if I run specials or I do Groupons or whatever, and I'm going to get a ton of people in there for the wrong reasons, they're not going to stay. And my goal is when people come to the gym, they feel like they're home, right? It's kind of just like how I want people to feel, that they come into the gym and they're going to their gym. They're not going to crash, because it's everybody's that go there. That's it. And I know I'm kind of talking around the point, but I don't set goals for myself, I think, because I never really know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have to be able to adapt. You know, if I get in my head that I'm going to work out every day at 9, and after the 8 o'clock class, I get in a conversation with somebody for 45 minutes, I need to be able to just work out later. I mean, I don't need to get so tied up into a schedule or into a specific, well, I didn't do this today, so I'm gonna be a week late on this goal. That's just, I think if I did that, I would really drive myself crazy.
What do you think you have as a unique skill that you don't see in other people?
I've had a lot of people tell me in the last couple of years, I think getting into my mid and I guess later 30s, that I'm good with words, but I also can be blunt and very brutally honest with people. So we can talk and have a really eloquent conversation, or you can say, is this a good score? And I could say no. But I think I think people really appreciate that.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Especially
Absolutely.
if you have people that have competitive aspirations. And you need to tell them what they want. You need to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I, coach hard and love hard for sure. But something that was done to me growing up, and the coaches that affected me the most told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. I kind of relate that back to our physical therapy clinic, our patients. I feel like being brutally honest with them, like how am I doing? How am I doing with my rehab? Am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I reaching that milestone? Sometimes you have to say no. Okay, but here's how we are going to start changing things to reach that goal or that milestone. If we keep repeating the same patterns, you're not going to get there, and I think people appreciate that. You have to write consistent progress notes so people understand, okay, this is where I was 2 weeks ago. This is where I am now. Because it's hard when you live with yourself and you live with your own body. It's hard to see progress, not only physically, but mentally or in the gym, right?
Absolutely.
So I feel like having a coach in the gym that says, hey, man, I know you've got a little bit more potential in you. Let's pick it up. Or let's dial it back a little bit, Maybe you're not where you think you are, but we'll work together to get there.
That's right.
I think that's incredible. I think that's a great answer.
So can you point to any time as a gym owner that you would consider as your proudest moment? And it could be anything.
We've done, our family there has just, the generosity that they have as a group it's been unbelievable since 2015. We did some fundraisers, getting Josh over to France and getting him over there helped him qualify for the game. So we did fundraiser for him, and people were just so generous. Just because it's so fresh in my mind, the cystic fibrosis fundraiser event that we did that you came and shot.
That was a lot of fun.
Raised $22,000.
That's amazing.
And talking to Jason, the guy who has the 2 young children that have CF, he sent me a list of 5, you could call them branches in South Carolina, and they kind of all have quotas they want to meet for the CF Foundation every year, to get out and talk about it and get people, because the research is what's driving the almost cures that are out now. And he sent me the list, and it was $1,000, $1,500, whatever. $22,000.
Wow.
And the look on their families' faces. One of my best friends that I played basketball with at Anderson, Emery, just posted a video on him actually. Came and did that event with me.
Yeah.
Showed up. I didn't think he was going to show up. Then wanted to do the workout with me. And oh my gosh, just that feeling was incredible. So that kind of stuff makes me the most proud of.
And he had a double lung transplant. Am I correct?
That's right. Yeah. So that's usually the road that, if you live long enough,
yeah.
That's usually the path that has to be taken. Your lung capacity and function just drops so much that you end up just going on a transplant list.
Yeah. I asked him, I said, so what is your lung capacity now? And he goes, it's 105% now. And I was just, I really and truly, I just kind of sort of stood in awe, because you have you and Josh and everybody over there and you guys kick ass, but he jumped in, dude. And he comes over to him, he goes, come over here. He's like, what? He goes, make sure you take photos of him. And I was like, you got it.
Yeah, it was
You know,
awesome. It was
because I
awesome.
mean, people like that did it. Not people like that, but he had heart. You know, he wanted to do it. You know, I could see he was like jacked up that you and Hopper were doing it with him and stuff. And so he had a good time. He really did.
Yeah, I was blown away by it. And that same feeling that you had, it's crazy how life works. And I told you at the beginning, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So one of the national championship games, college football, I think the first time Clemson won it, I was on call as a home health nurse. And I was like getting ready to watch the game. I mean, I had like wings and pizza and everything. And I was super excited. And I got a call. And it was a new patient coming home from, I think, Emory. And they lived in like Simpsonville. And she needed to start a care done, meaning I need to go out and like get all her vitals, get all her background information, start care with services because she had just had a major surgery. And, you know, I was so mad. I mean, I was furious. It was like 7 o'clock. The game was going to start at 8. So I drive down there. I'm not in a good mood. I get there. I read her chart in the parking lot. She had a heart transplant. I'm like, whoa, we don't get a lot of transplants. But she needed to have like anti-rejection meds that were given, and she needed to be put on IV antibiotics, prophylactic, just to make sure that she didn't get an infection. So I knew it was serious. So, you know, I go inside and my mood changes, and she's so happy to see me, and she's so grateful. And I do all the basic paperwork, and I say, okay, well, let's check your vitals. And so I put her pulse ox on, you know, I check her pulse, you know, listen to her lung sounds, listen to her heart sounds. And I was like, wow, your heart sounds amazing. And she looks at me and says, I know, it's not mine.
Wow.
An 8-year-old had to die for me to have this heart. And like that, I mean, I got chills just saying it now. That same feeling when I saw Nolan, knowing that he had had his chest cracked open and had lungs in his body that he wasn't born with. I mean, and having that same feeling of like, I'm affecting people in a way that I can't ever understand. So like that lady, me coming to her house and me being, I mean, oh my gosh. And I was the one that felt inconvenienced.
Right.
You know, it just kind of, you know.
You were humbled.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing the experiences and people that God bring into your corner or into your life that just these little moments, you know, maybe she remembers you coming after or maybe she doesn't, but we're talking about it right now.
That's right.
You know,
and she affected me in a way that I'll never forget.
Exactly. I think that's huge. That's awesome. All right, I want to ask one more thing before we do the rapid fire questions. Talk a little bit about these young guns coming up in the CrossFit community right here, like that are coming to your gym and training. Who are you excited about, and is it fun having these guys come train in your gym?
It is. You know, when we opened the gym, and I told you I wanted it to be like a destination for people for competitions, I also wanted it to be a destination for athletes. So, you know, we have a core group of people who are extremely fit. A lot of them don't care. They've been doing CrossFit 10 years. They've just maintained a lot of fitness. You come look at our whiteboard every day, there's no times, no reps. I'm not kidding. Like 100 plus names, no one put scores on the board. No one cares. I did away with Wodify because I was just spending a bunch of money on it and no one was tracking results. So it's a crazy mix of newer people, older people, really, really fit people, people who are super hungry that want to get fitter. And all of them are just like, we're just working as hard as we can. It's not really about me beating you or not. I mean, sure, there's some friendly banter back and forth, especially with the younger guys that you're talking about. But what's really cool is that some of the older guys at the gym are still some of the fittest. Just because we just have more years on our bodies, more experience. You know, the younger guys are probably fitter and have more capacity. I tell people all the time, I joke with one of my friends, Adam, they just don't know how to work out yet. Like, that dude's super fit, he just don't know how to work out. You know, and you see it all the time where you're like, you know, the old meme, like, bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Like, you see someone come out way too hot in a workout, and you just kind of shake your head and roll your eyes like dumb kids. And then, you see that. But we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
So watching them is like watching ourselves. So when we see Zach and, Jackson's over there now and all of them, and I mean, the kids now are freaks. I mean, it's crazy. It's like people growing up as their sport is CrossFit. Their sport is not something and then they do CrossFit on the side. Their sport is CrossFit.
Yes.
So, I mean, not developing a lot of movement restrictions, like doing everything on the balls of your feet, which is what every single sport teaches you to do for 15 years, and then trying to do everything back on your heels is really hard. But if you've only been told to stay back on your heels, it's natural.
That's so funny that you're saying that, because Jackson brought that up the other day. I can't remember who he was telling somebody was having a really hard time finishing a clean, and Jackson goes, bro, just push through your heels. And like, not a lot of people know to do that, right? And Jackson grew up doing that. Like, he knows, and that's why he cleans or snatches 300 pounds. I mean, it's insane. He doesn't look like he can, but he can, because he was taught from a young age, push through your heels.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Having that environment there, having Sergio, having Zach, who's like, 18. But I mean, I could name like 10 guys right now that if they decided they wanted to try to make semis, I mean, if we found the female athletes, they could do it. And a lot of them have no desire at all to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. Some of them have done it in the past. Some of them just don't really care enough.
Right.
But that, like, having Jason come over 2 or 3 times a week, having Taylor come down from Charlotte, I mean, a lot of that is just, well, yeah, the gym's so pretty. Why would I not want to come here? But a lot of it is, no, I know if I go there, there's a handful of people, if I walk in the gym, that may jump in and do this workout with me. And normally I work out by myself, ramming my head into the wall.
Mm-hmm. And
when you do stuff like that and you look to your left or you look to your right, and there's either someone who you might see on game day or just another warm body that's sharing the same level of discomfort, it is easier. There is a lot can be said for training alone. And if you can push yourself alone, when you race, oh man, you have a gear that you never knew you had. But you can only do that so many days, for so many weeks, for so many months, for so many years. And then it's just like, I mean, look at some of the most successful athletes. Most of the most successful athletes, they train with people.
Mm-hmm.
They train with multiple people. They have a training partner for aerobic sessions, and they have a training partner for lifting sessions, have a training partner for skill sessions, someone that can push them. So I love that there's a big pool of competitive guys and females at the gym. But one thing, the second on the list, other than like the generosity of the gym, answering that question about pride, is I love it when people from Crash go to competitions, and whoever I talk to, the event organizer, the judges, whoever, says, you know what, your people were just so nice. Like, they were just cool. I messed up counting one time and they didn't freak out on me. They were cheering on the beginners. They were not snobby just because they were in the higher levels or whatever, things right. like that. And, one of my rules up on the board of the top 10 rules is, don't be an a-hole. Like, I really mean that. Like, just be kind. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares when you walk out of these walls how many toes to bar you can do compared to that other person. No one cares. You're no better than them.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think that is definitely something. It's easy to have a gym with a lot of fit people, and there's a us and them. There's a, oh yeah, but they're the elite people. I can't work out with them. Sure you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that resonates with me, because when I used to think of Crash, I would always think of the elite people, because a lot of the elite people work out there. And then I get some people from Crash that come here for physical therapy, and they're in shape, but they're not the elite people. And they just rage about how much they love working out at Crash, and there is no elitist type feel over there. Everybody's just going in there to work. Everybody sweats. Everybody looks straight ahead. No one's looking to their left. No one's looking to their right. And it's one big happy family. And I just think in order to have one big happy family, you have to have the head of the household. And I think you are doing a great job of bringing that community together. And people just are raving about it. Every time I meet somebody from Crash, they say how much they love going there and enjoy your leadership.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I try to lead. I try to lead by example, but I will tell you, like I tell others, it's not me. I don't do anything. I scribble on a whiteboard and I play some music. Like it is everybody that makes that atmosphere. It's not one person.
yeah,
You know, one person can be saying one thing and the person to the left and the right can be completely opposite. And that's just not the case. And if I ever felt like it was becoming that, things would change.
yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we enjoyed having Jen Schultz on here, Rick Jones. Just
No, I love all that. They're great people.
All right, rapid fire questions.
Sure, if you want to.
Let's do it, man. Let's wrap it up with that. You want to go?
No.
You want me to go first? All right. If you had to design a 5-minute AMRAP for yourself, what 3 movements would you have in it?
Do I have to do this workout like every day for the rest of my life?
No. Just like if you're gonna have some fun, your 3 favorite movements in an AMRAP, what would it be?
No. Well, I need to do the things that are not fun. So, really anything overhead and anything, like I would say, heavy overhead squats. I don't know. Really high rep toes to bar, and I know it's only a 5-minute AMRAP, but yeah, probably those 2.
Okay, and what song are you listening to this 5-minute AMRAP?
I usually just play like sets, like EDM sets in the gym, and not particular songs. I'm trying to think of one though that like I could still play, like older when I played in college, like T.I., like old T.I., like Bring 'Em Out,
Yeah,
like stuff
absolutely.
like that.
For
That's
sure,
that's
man.
what I came out to.
Yeah, right.
So that kind of stuff
Yeah.
I could always put on.
That old Hollister playlist?
No, there's no T.I. on those playlists.
Yeah. All right, go for it.
All right, so Harrison shows up with a black Amex card. You can go anywhere in the world, you and your wife. Where are you going? All expenses paid.
To any of the places on, do you follow Beautiful Destinations on Instagram?
I don't.
No.
So it's just an account that posts these like destinations and just where they are, and we would send them back and forth to each other all the time. So in any of those, just super remote, stay in a bungalow, whatever.
Maldive Islands. That's where you need to go. Very cool. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Pizza.
My guy.
What is your go-to outside of the gym thing to do?
I love to watch movies. My wife gets on to me all the time. She's like, why do you want to watch that movie? You've seen it before. I was like, yeah, I love it.
Good. All right. If you could pick one thing for your children to be good at, what would it be?
Being flexible.
Absolutely. That's a good answer. I love it. All right. Go for it, guys.
Dog or cat person?
Dog.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather go snowboarding or skiing in Colorado or go surfing on the West Coast or in the Caribbean?
Beach all day.
Beach all day?
All right, so it's Madison, Wisconsin. It's the finals. You're in the finals. Who else are you competing with? Who are your other 2 on your left and your right?
Probably Julian Cerna and probably Jason Smith or Dan Bailey. I think they were both top 10 in the Masters in 35 to 39 this year.
Cool.
So definitely names that I like grew up,
Yeah.
like not grow up, but came in like, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so. And it's crazy that they're just my age. I just started a lot later.
Right. All right. If you had any games athlete come into town and they came and worked out at your gym with you, and then you went and grabbed coffee with them afterwards, who would you want that person to be?
Probably someone like Travis Mayer. And actually, Travis has family in Spartanburg.
He does.
He's one I'm trying to reel in for Crucible this year. But he's got 4 kids. He's a gym owner. Super, high-level athlete. But he has had a lot of ups and downs. Like, qualify for the games 2 years, miss out. Qualify 2 more years, miss out. Qualify 2 more years. And it's like, and I'm a lot more impressed these days by effort than I am about results. And being able to come back and come back and come back, being resilient, like that really like fascinates me about people, because I try to have like a relentless work ethic that's like a sickening drive to do whatever.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm a
huge David Goggins fan. I'm a huge, like, any of those, I guess you call them public figures now, but back when I first heard them speak, talking about pushing through, meeting adversity, accepting the adversity, and then moving past it, like that, I dig that. So, and anyone who's a father, I mean, there's tons of games athletes that are fathers, but having 4 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think they're all under the age of like 6.
They're pretty close together.
Yeah.
He's got a savage for a wife for sure.
They just had a little girl.
Yeah, and
3 boys and a little girl.
I see some of his posts and I smile, because I don't know what it's like to have boys, but I do know what it's like to see your baby girl. And I'm like, oh man, there's nothing better than that.
I got one more question.
I got one too.
Okay, go for it. Then I'll ask one.
So, if you could go back and tell yourself on your very first day of CrossFit, what advice would you give yourself? Knowing what you know now, what is the advice you would give yourself on day 1?
You are a beginner. What you've done before this doesn't matter. Check your ego. Use that PVC pipe. Use that empty barbell. Learn how to do everything strict first, as far as body weight stuff. Stretch. Prioritize.
Dude, you need to come to my physical therapy clinic. That's all I say.
Prioritize movement first. And like, I'm so, and I mean, these guys will tell you, because, I train with them and, all the time, but, I don't care how much Sergio snatches. I care like just what he looks like when he squats a PVC pipe. Like, I'm so much more impressed by good movement now than I am about like the performance part of it, because this ain't figure skating. I tell people this all the time and they always laugh. They're like, this isn't figure skating. Like, you don't get graded on how it looks. When you're competing, you need to get it done. And there are really, really good movers that are at the games, and they're not very good movers at the games. Is one spending more energy than the other? Probably.
Absolutely.
But it's a sport. Some people throw a better spiral than other people. They still throw touchdowns. Like, it's a sport. But when I was starting, I had so many bad habits that I had developed over the years of just being tight, or, the sports that I was playing. And, I tell people all the time, like, you haven't earned the right to be in that position yet. So you're not going to be in it until you earn that right. Like, the reason why my shoulders are, grumpy right now is just because of something happening down the chain that's not moving the way it's supposed to move, and I've put more stress on that shoulder.
100%.
I understand that now. I mean, I would much rather have done it the right way. It's been 8 or 9 years. I would probably be where I am, but with a lot less aches, with a lot less tweaks, with a lot less habits that I'm trying to break after I've like ingrained in my movement patterns for years and years and years. So yeah, that is absolutely what I would tell
That's a great answer.
my young self.
Absolutely.
Dude, you know nothing, and you have to accept that before you can move on.
Perfect.
So where can people find you?
Hold
on
on,
the
I got one more.
All right.
Remember, we got one more. All right, let's say you get on Instagram and you see that the Apogee Fitness Podcast has posted their latest episode. Who do you want to really hear on the podcast?
I don't know. That's a great question. I will say, how dare you make me follow the most sultry voice of CrossFit?
God.
My goodness. People are going to be like, who is this dude? We want Sean back. I would love for you guys to pick one of the female like gym owners in the area. I think that'd be cool to just hear from them.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So where can the folks find you on the social medias?
I'm _crash_fitness. The plan was just to be crash or like _crash_. Like I put in so many different handles and nothing came up. So Crash Fitness is what it's been, and it's kind of, I guess, kind of caught on now. But
For sure. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come out and talk to you for a little bit. Time flew.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time out of your week. I know you've got parent responsibilities to get back to, so we'll let you go. But really appreciate you coming on. Until next time, you heard it here.
Yeah, see you guys next weekend.
Yeah, we will be there.
Apogee Fitness Podcast.